So why did you want to write this new book?
Well, I wanted to write the book. I wanted to write any book. So I am a dreamer,
Yeah.
and I've always been one to set goals and prioritize them and try to achieve them. So being a published author has been on my list for a long time.
Okay.
As I got into recovery and I had the ability to think clearly and actually rekindle, getting in touch with my goals again, it became clear that what I should write about was how God had changed my life.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your life before God was able to change your life.
Yeah, my life, I come from a large Catholic family. I'm the second of 5 children.
Wow.
My dad was one of 17 children, a large Catholic family. My mom was one of 8 children, a Protestant family.
How were the holidays?
The holidays were large.
Yeah.
So actually,
I love that.
my dad was in the Navy, and then when he got out of the Navy, I was about 8 years old. So like 8 years, 9 years, 10 years old. Many of the families lived together. So our family of 5, another family of 7. My grandmother still had her 3 youngest children in the home. So when we would go to church, we would take up several pews.
Mm-hmm.
And so that same feeling of when you go to the movies with a big group of people, you have a big family reunion.
Absolutely.
To me, church felt the same way.
Yeah.
So I think that built some very strong values. I knew I wanted to be a mom for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I dated a lot of men on my search too.
Okay. That's okay.
I did a lot of research until I found who I call Mr. Wonderful.
Good.
So we have 2 children, and very early in career I was working for this company which was Ross Perot's old company, EDS, and I was in a call center, and somebody just tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You would make a great trainer." And so that began my career in learning and development and public speaking.
Yeah. So I guess you had some type of challenge that God allowed to, kind of bring you back to where you was before. So kind of talk about that challenge.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so the challenge, well, I've had many challenges that God has, I would say, saved me from.
Haven't we all?
Yes, and I think I'm not the only one who perhaps when in emotional turmoil or have unmet needs may reach for something outside of God to help and feel better, whether that be food or whether that be drugs or alcohol. So although I did have a very brief drug addiction, I got through that. I smoked cigarettes, was addicted to those, and got through that. But it was alcohol which progressively became not only the number one important thing in my life, but the thing that was killing me. And so it was actually God intervened. I was with a church, and I'd lost my job, and I was out of work for like 19 months. So I had time on my hands, and church was the only place I really felt any peace, because I was hiding from my husband and my family, everybody, how much I was drinking every day for years. So I was physically...
Well, how were you able to hide that from them?
Oh, I was sneaky. Yeah, I literally have drunken gallons of Crystal Light. So I would have a big pitcher of Crystal Light in the fridge. I would hide alcohol, vodka. I would pour some in a glass where no one was looking at where my hiding spaces were, and then I would, in front of everyone, just have a glass that had a little bit of vodka in it, pour Crystal Light, and I would drink that.
They never knew.
All day long.
Yeah.
No, they could tell. They could tell that I had been drinking, but I would still drink in the house, but I would drink like 2 glasses of wine in front of anyone, but I was intoxicated. So this went on for a long time.
Yeah.
And it took a little while to get to that point where I was needing it every day, and then trying to stop on my own, which was impossible. So
what brought you to the turning point?
Yeah, what brought me to the turning point was the founder of Catholic in Recovery, which is a faith-based ministry which welcomes alcoholics, addicts, food addicts, gamblers, sex and lust addicts, clutterers, friends and family member of anyone who's dealing with addiction, basically anything we can overdo.
Yeah.
But it's faith-based, and so the founder of that came to my church, and I was participating in a council, and they said, "Jenny, would you lead?
There it is again.
Would you lead this new group called Catholic in Recovery?" And I said, "Well, I can lead anything. I'm a great facilitator, but I don't know anything about the 12 steps." And the founder looked me in the eyes, and he said, "You're going to."
Wow.
So I began to lead these meetings, and exposed me to the 12 steps of addiction recovery, and I started to meet people who were in recovery, and that is where I I received what I call the gift of desperation to one night really beg God for help, and the next day I was able to by His power not drink. I was able to take that take that glass and actually pour it down the sink. So that was November.
How did it make you feel to do that?
2019. It was scary. It was really scary. And actually, for anyone listening, I would not suggest that, because I had been drinking for so long that I would start to have withdrawals after a few hours. So I got really sick, and you can die from from like this sudden cessation. But I got really sick for a few days, and actually I still thought at that point, after 24 hours, I thought, okay, maybe Jenny, can do this. I can cure myself and still not have to come clean to anyone. And on the second day, I was more sick. And then my husband was just beside himself, like, what is wrong with you?
So then you had to be honest with him about what you were going through.
Yes. So I made a decision when he came home from work to tell him what was happening with me. And so that was going for honesty was really scary, and telling him was very scary.
So what was his response?
He gave me a big hug.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's good.
He gave me a big hug. And
was that like a weight lifted off of you because he gave you a hug and wasn't mad or disappointed in you or whatever?
Yeah, he got mad later, but in the yes, it was, I'd broken all trust. He was angry, but in the moment he gave me a big hug, and he said, let's go tell our girls. And at this point, they were in high school, and they gave me big hugs. And I'd met enough people and had learned enough to know what I needed, that I needed to see the doctor immediately, that I needed to go into a program, that I needed, I knew what resources were available, and I knew people. And so the group that I had been leading in Catholic in Recovery, I'd let them know before I told my husband. I said, please pray for me, because I don't know that I'll be married by the end of the night. And one of them said something, and they were like, prayers, yes, we know you've been drinking. So I wasn't hiding it from them. They knew, but they said what the most important thing is, do not take a drink. I was so fresh because it was really important to keep one day at a time and keep not drinking.
Yeah. Wow, powerful story.
Thank you. I can laugh about it now. It was terrifying at the time.
I guess so, yeah. So do you get any feedback about your book? Because you just released it maybe a month ago, maybe, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
Yeah, have you gotten any feedback yet?
Yes, I've gotten amazing feedback. So on Amazon, it's #1 in two categories. So there are a lot of great reviews that it's touched people. Actually, I invited several people I work with. I've been in the same company for 2 years, so I invited several people that I've become close to the launch party, where I actually read a little bit of the book, and it's been amazing to hear feedback actually in meetings, because in the book I'll lead readers to think about their own lives and what obstacles they have, and there are these sections of 5-minute reflections. So I was on a call last week, and one team member, he's like, Jenny, should we have a 5-minute reflection? And I was like, not everyone here knows what you're referring to.
Oh, okay. And then you had to tell them, because you're the teacher, you're the leader, right?
Yes. So I try to keep a little separation, but my life is, our lives are our lives. We work, we bring our lives to work, we bring our work into our lives, and
Absolutely.
So things have intermixed. But I did speak to another person this week, and she was in tears because things that she's healing from in her youth are things that I talk about in my youth that I'm healed from. So it was just amazing to be honest, and I concealed myself for so long and presented myself to the world in a certain light, and so people are coming to me, with gratitude that they can relate and they feel hope.
Yeah, good. Okay, so let's see. What advice would you give people who may be facing what you were facing before? Are there any resources available? Would you tell them just read your book and that'll fix everything?
Well, I wouldn't say that as a start. I think that's a great suggestion. Yeah. But I think being honest with themselves, because if we can delude ourselves that things aren't that bad. And the #1 thing is to become honest with what our reality is really like. And we can delude ourselves and the disease of addiction and a lot of unhealthy attachments or compulsions. really like us to be isolated. And when we're isolated, we stay in shame, and then it thrives, and it's this cycle of we do this thing to feel better because we feel so bad about ourselves, and we stay in the dark. So to be honest about the pain we're really in. And I am a huge advocate for 12-step recovery. I live 12-step recovery. Our family has come over the years to all understand different sayings in 12-step recovery. And one thing about the 12 steps is the 12 step is to carry the message to others and to help other people, because we've been helped. And so being here today is my opportunity to do that. Writing the book is my opportunity to do that. But I didn't know that if I were to call someone or go to a meeting or reach out to a hotline, that there are people, their entire vocation, their entire desire and new purpose is to serve somebody else and help them. And so
that's pretty amazing.
So we have a fear of being judged or what people will think, and there are millions, millions of us who need help in whatever we're struggling with. So whether it's a coach, a therapist, a hotline, a 12-step group, there are so many resources and people that completely understand and have been there and can relate. So there's nothing that any of us have done or have experienced that somebody else won't be able to say, me too, I understand, and I can reach my hand out and show you how to get started.
So no need to be ashamed, just be your authentic self.
Yes, yes. And first being honest with yourself alone, and even making a list. How are things impacting my health, my family, my relationships, my job, my happiness? If you can list that things are not optimal. Things are not optimal. Whatever that might be, reaching for food, reaching for scrolling on technology and feeling terrible about ourselves, reaching out to somebody that can say, I can help you reduce your screen time, or we all have something that we can overdo. So being honest that something's not working, and then knowing that there are people who absolutely desire for themselves to help.
So be honest, check.
Be honest, yes, that's it.
And Jenny, if anyone want to purchase your book at this point, how can they do that?
Oh, thank you for asking that question.
No
Yes. I recommend going to my website, jennyteters.com, and I have a page there which has where it can be purchased, which is Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and other many places people like to shop or might have a gift card too. And that would be the best place. And that also links to my social media if anyone would like to follow me.
And that was going to be my next question.
So that links to my podcast, my newsletter. There's a free meditation to even get in touch with your true self. So I have some resources there to get started.
Because you're a life coach.
Oh yes, I am a life coach.
Well, Jenny, anything else you'd like to add before I let you go?
Oh yes, I would like to add, thank you so much for having me here, because the ability to talk about faith, to talk about recovery is my favorite topic, and there's somebody listening who is probably crying or in tears right now, and this space has given somebody hope today, and for that I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Of course.